歡迎大家出席嘅今日。
Welcome to the press briefing. Present today we have Dr. Chang Chuk-kwan, Head Communicable Disease Branch, Center for Health Protection, and Dr. Larry Lee, Chief Manager from Housing Authority. Dr. Zhou will give us an update of the pandemic. Good afternoon. We have 14 positive cases, number 13088 to 13101. 12 are suspected to be Omicron cases, 1 suspected Delta case, and the remaining 1 are pending. 10 are local cases, including a 17-year-old student living in studying in St. Joseph's Anglo English College is a suspected Delta case. And then genome sequencing by City University revealed that although it is a Delta case, it's a bit different from the sales girl at Little Boss. So there is from another source, whether it be from an animal or human. 2 cases are linked to Yat Kwai House. One is a 53-year-old living on the 3rd floor, or rather, well, it doesn't matter. A 53-year-old living on the 3rd floor who works at the airport, a forklift operator. Another is a 1-year-old baby who once visited his granny there on the 7th floor. He once stayed there for the night, the same block but different orientation, different floor. We've got 3 cases linked to Dahlia Memorial School, one being a teacher, a 58-year-old female who teaches there. And another case is a student. Now, previously, we've got 2 classrooms with 2 cases each. In one case, there are 2 students, and another cluster, a teacher and a student. And then we've got another cluster, O class, 1O, a student. One is a family member of 13079. Studying in Late Kwok Po David Lee Kwok Po College, Hong Kong, MA. A confirmed case. 13092 is a friend of 13072, a teacher, a KG teacher. So it's now a confirmed case. We've got 3 students who visited a friend living in Caribbean coast. They ate there. So 3 students are now confirmed cases. One studying in Lantau International School, another in Buddhist Fat Home Memorial College. A classmate of one of the students is now a preliminary positive case, so there is some infection among the class. So classmates and teachers are subject to quarantine. So these are the confirmed cases from yesterday. Today we have about 20-odd preliminary positive cases. Among them, quite a lot are local cases. One is a 24-year-old social work assistant who works in Kwai Chung, who lives in Changyan House of Changsha Wan Estate. It's a yet unlinked case. On the 17th of January, he felt unwell. On the 18th, he gave a sample positive with a CT value of 22. On the 15th or 16th, he went to a staycation in Hangfeng Hotel. He usually brings lunch to school, and then he went to Starbucks on the 10th of January at City Gate. Another case is a 37-year-old female who lives in Mingyat House of Mingyat Gui. She is a sales girl in Kuntong, a retail worker, and he goes to Chunwan Cha Chan Tang Cafe and also Ngao Wu Bing Sat a Cafe Ao Bo. Another is 82-year-old man who lives in Ao Chang Gok of Sam Shui Po. It's an unlinked case, but almost every morning he has dim sum at Dragon Palace. And we have got case 13073 who always have lunch at Dragon Palace, and this one has breakfast there. So Dragon Place. So genome sequencing reveals L452R. 13073 also gave L452R. So the two cases may be linked. So we've asked Dragon Place to suspend operation until all staff members are tested negative, and there must be thorough cleansing. So those who have been to Dragon Place recently for morning or afternoon dim sum, please come out to be tested as soon as possible. And then we've also got linked cases. 12960's family members. The family members of a teacher living in Meifu Sunshine Phase 3, her parents, and also fellow classmates, a 14-year-old girl studying in Buddhist Fat Home Memorial College, preliminary positive. On the 11th of January, there was a customer who bought hamsters at Little Balls, and the case is confirmed at quarantine center, a 30-year-old female. And then family members of the child who lives in Caribbean coast. So family members of some confirmed cases are now gradually confirmed. We have a preliminary positive case who on the 4th of January went to I Love Fabric in Mongkok. The case went shopping there, and our department is investigating the details. These aside, we have got other preliminary positive cases on different stories and different orientations of Yat Kwai House. There are quite a number of flats. About 7 units are involved. One case lives on the 8th floor. He went to Shamjan on the 18th, and then upon quarantine, he became confirmed on the 19th. And other floors include case number 13085 and 13090 and 13111, a 1-year-old child, and also some preliminary positive cases.
Later today, we will go to Yat Kwai House for an inspection to find out whether there is environmental factors or other factors. About the whole genome sequencing, earlier on there was a case, that's 13072, living in Phase 3, Meifu Sanchun, the kindergarten teacher. The whole genome sequencing reveals that the gene sequencing is the same as 13045. For that case, That case was confirmed on the 26th day during quarantine at Silka Seaview Hotel. We suspect 13072 might have met with the children of case 13045. Upon tracing, it shows that the case 13072 goes to work by MTR, and 13067 and 69 go to school by MTR as well. At exit A of the MTR station, they might have appeared at the same time, some 9 seconds apart. There is a tunnel inside the MTR station, exit A. They might have met each other during that period. They all wore face masks and there was no direct contact. There is a metal barrier inside the tunnel. That's on the 14th of January. The genome sequencing results came back identical. So we think that might be how they got infected. So 13072 is categorized as a case related to this cluster. Our own whole genome sequencing reveals that case 13047, that is the sales lady at Little Boss, carries this identical gene sequence with case 13059 and the family member. There's a difference of 4 SMPs. Case 13059 and case 13073, the couple, the gene sequences are identical. There is also a customer who bought something at I Love Rabbit at Mongkok. That's also a preliminary positive case. In the past few days, together with the AFCD, we went to some 30 pet shops to gather environmental samples and pet samples. We visited 11 pet shops yesterday. At one pet shop, that's the one in Yuen Long, the other samples are still pending. As the I Love Rabbit at Yuen Long, from within a hamster cage, we have also found positive environmental sample. These show that there is a higher risk of animal to human transmission. Genome sequencing test shows that if it is human to human transmission, then the genome would be more similar. If there's a transmission from animal to human, then the genome sequencing results will come back a little bit different, like what we have now. We have 2 confirmed cases. One of them is the 17-year-old youngster. The whole genome sequencing result is different with that of 13047. Of course, human-to-human transmission is possible. However, there is also a higher chance of animal-to-human transmission. I urge the public to be very careful. If you have bought a hamster after the 22nd of December, please get tested as soon as possible. And I urge members, do not abandon your pet hamsters. It may cause other public health issues or concerns. Please call the AFCD's hotline if you have any doubts. Once again, I call out to the public. The Environmental Protection Department, since October 2020, has collected sewage samples from different districts. Recently, sewage samples from multiple districts come back positive. Yesterday, the sewage sample from Aberdeen was tested positive. We also have one preliminary positive case living in Aberdeen Centre. Today, the government will issue a compulsory testing notice requiring residents living or have stayed in the area where sewage samples came back positive, involving some 20 residential buildings, to get tested. Thank you. Now, Dr. Lee, please tell us about the hospital authority situation. TMHK, as at 9 a.m. this morning, in the past 24 hours, we have reported 27 cases. Another 19 patients have been discharged. Altogether, 12,493 patients have been discharged. 340 patients are undergoing treatments in our hospitals, including the North Lantau Infection Control Center, the Infection Control Center of the TMHK, and the AWE Treatment Center. We have more patients under the age of 18 confirmed. That's why we have activated our response scheme, opening our pediatric wards to take patients above the age of 12 or under the age of 12. For those above the age of 12 and under 18, they will be sent to the North Lantau Infection Control Center. So far, the utilization rates of the beds in pediatric wards is 27.4%, and the ward utilization rate is 40%. In terms of visiting arrangements, due to the developments of the epidemic, we would continue to suspend the visits on compassionate ground arrangements until further notice. Depending on the situation of the patient, we would allow compassionate visits for special cases. For approved visits on compassionate ground, the visitors have to be vaccinated with 2 vaccines for more than 14 days. And also there should be a negative nucleic acid test or antigen test in the past 24 hours. We understand that for visitors of patients who are dying or are seriously ill, they may not be able to make this arrangement. If prearranged tests cannot be obtained, visitors will still be allowed for these patients. However, after the visits, they have to provide us with the antigen or nucleic acid test to us. This arrangement will enhance protection for patients and our staff, and wherever possible, we would arrange for remote visits as well. Thank you. Now we open the floor for questions. Please use our mic and please identify your media organization.
The lady in the blue jacket over there. Good afternoon, I'm from TMHK. The 17-year-old student at St. Joseph's Anglo-Chinese College. Now, it's also a suspected Delta case. What is the source of infection? Does that mean that there are a few Delta transmission chains in the community, and you're worried about that? And would you say that there is an outbreak at Yak Kwai House? Is there environmental contamination? Is it because of the environment there? And I'd like to know pets that are for sale at I Love Rabbit. So is it true that apart from hamsters, I'd like to know whether the pets at I Love Rabbit have been tested or not. Now, there is a high risk of animal to human transmission. Will you enhance testing of animals? The 17-year-old student, according to a genome sequencing by CTU, although it is also 127, is different from that of the salesperson at Little Boss. Now, we assume that there is the possibility of animal to human transmission because animal genomes are not identical, so there may be different transmission chains present in the community. But then there is no contact history. The case hasn't been to a pet shop. It hasn't got pets at home. So the source could be from human to human. As regards the generation of transmission we are talking about, we're not too sure. We're not too sure about the transmission chains in the community. We are worried that there are silent transmission chains. Of course, I'd like to appeal to the public. As far as Delta is concerned, for those who have purchased pets or who have been to pet shops, if you're worried, then you should come out to be tested. For Yat Kwai House, we do not see any obvious vertical or horizontal transmission. We do not see a clear pattern. But we've got cases of the same orientation, and we will have to inspect the situation to see whether there are other factors at play. All of a sudden, so many units there are affected, so there might be some kind of transmission going on. I love rabbits. I know that they do sell hamsters. As regards what other animals are available, I don't have the details, but I know AFCD is now checking these places and have taken samples. Of course, they won't be able to cover all of them so quickly. I'm from Now TV. I'd like to ask about the 7 units of Yat Kwai House. Can you tell us the floors or the units we're talking about? The 7-year-old and 53 CX worker there, I'd like to know whether their genome sequencing are the same as the one I have confirmed in Shamjan. Are they all DY 103? And for that person, when did he come to Hong Kong? Let me clarify. We're not talking about someone coming from Shamjan, rather from Hong Kong to Shamjan. The case lives in Yat Kwai House, and he went to Shamjan on the 18th and was confirmed on the 19th. We were notified by Shamjan. There is a positive case. All right, I tell you the floors of Yat Kwai House. I don't want to disclose the exact units. Floors involved: the 3rd floor, the 5th floor, the 8th floor, the 7th floor, the 11th floor, and an unconfirmed case on the 26th floor. But we have to see the sample again to see whether it is a positive case or not. Next, that one on the 3rd row. I'm from Hong Kong 01. I'd like to ask about the situation of Yat Kwai House. What are the reasons for the outbreak? Because you told us that different orientations and different floors were involved. Can you tell us more about the 1-year-old baby who's confirmed? The case went to visit his granny. What about the person who took the baby there? Would that person have to be quarantined? And what about the granny there? Is it that we have 2 sources in Hong Kong? How come we have a new source unlinked to the case of Little Boss? I'd like to know whether that boy has kept any pet, because Delta is involved. For the 42-year-old social worker assistant and the 37 lady who lives in Meng Yat House of Tsuen Wan. So is one a suspected case of Delta, another an Omicron case? we have to inspect quite low before we are aware of the details to see whether there are environmental factors or contamination. Usually, in the same block, people will stay in the same lobby to get their mail. They may share the same lifts, or they may come out to dump their rubbish. They may chat with their neighbors. But it seems that they are not very acquainted, or that they have gathered at the lobby. So we'll have to check to see whether there are environmental factors like previous cases. We have to confirm later. As regards Delta variant, now we have always have this human-to-human transmission. In previous cases, the genome sequencing were very similar, even identical. Assuming that in the community some animals are infected, they may not have identical genomes. So there's the possibility that they are different. So if it is human to human transmission, and in another case we talk about different animal to another human, then the genome sequencing may be different for the two cases. The 24-year-old and 37-year-old cases, we don't have the genome sequencing yet. We don't know whether they are a Delta or Omicron case, and then they are still unlinked. Next, the 1-year-old baby. The 1-year-old baby lives in Qingyi, Hong Kwai House of Cheung Hong Estate with its family. On the 16th of January, it had a meal at his granny's place. He stayed in the flat in the main. He did not go downstairs, and I think that's the relationship with Yak Kwai House. The gentleman in the brown jacket, Dr. Zhang, I'm from TMHK. Regarding that 9-minute meeting at MTR station, was there any high-risk behavior involved? For instance, did someone remove his or her mask? Was there any sneezing? Given that the interception was so short and it was a very enclosed place, would you say that the MTR is a high-risk place? Unfortunately, we could not see at what place they met inside the tunnel. It's just at certain locations there were CCTVs, and we could see the time when one went in and another came out, and the timing, the duration was about 9 seconds. And when they went in or came out from the tunnel, their masks were properly on. So we believe that they should not be at very close distance within the tunnel, and then they were going different directions. So I think the period of contact was very short, and it's not that they were chatting there.
We have seen similar cases. For example, in Penny's Bay and at the airport, we found cases who met each other while walking by. Under some circumstances, even if you have your mask on, there still might be airborne transmission. Let's take an English question.
China Morning Post. Dr. Chuang, just wanted to get some clarification on the Delta cases. So you mentioned that at the Little Boss saleswoman, so case 13047 and two customers, so 13059 and a family member, have 4 differences in the genetic sequence result. So does that mean they have different infection sources, or does this indicate possible animal to human transmission? And in terms of the 17-year-old, so case 13088, does that mean he's linked to the Little Boss cluster? Because you mentioned there can be differences in genetic sequences due to the increased likelihood of animal to human transmission. So just wanted to get some clarification on that, or whether you think somebody had been infected in terms of like the animal to human, and then that person went on to possibly infect the 17-year-old. So it would be great if you could clarify that. And I'd also like to ask about the MTR case. So you said the kindergarten teacher, so case 13072, and the two Delia students had 9 seconds of overlap in an MTR station exit. So given that they had no direct contact, how likely is it that she had gotten infected that way? Or is this another repeat of the suspected transmission of the engineer and the dancers at Victoria Park? And then it ended up they had actually eaten at the same restaurant. So how likely is it for somebody to catch the virus that way? Thank you.
For the Delta cases, 13045, her whole genome sequencing is have 4 SMP difference with the customer and her household contact. So at this point, it is possible that 13045 did not directly transmit the illness to the customer. It is possible that the customer stay in the environment where there are animal, or she bought she has a hamster at home. So we don't know which is the exact source of infection, but it is possible animal to human transmission did occur. And for the 13088, according to our investigation so far, he has no direct contact to animal or pet shop. So it is likely that she got the infection from other human. Yeah. But we do not know who yet. For the 13072 and the 2 students encountered in the subway of the MTR, this is the only possible common path we could find at this moment. Of course, if there are other instances such as they have meal together or other encounters, that may explain the infection more. But we did try our very best to search for all the common routes and pathways and so on, and only find this.
我哋答多個英文問題。
Let's take another English question.
Questions from RTHK. So, as there are more cases in Yat Kwai House in Kwai Chung Estate, but they are on different floors, so is there an outbreak there? And for the animal and human transmission, so what are the chances of it, like in light of the new cases? Thank you.
I think there may be some transmission in the Yat Kwai Lau, but we do not know the exact mechanism. I've mentioned some commonly known mechanisms such as taking the lift, in the rubbish and throwing rubbish, or staying in the lobby, or they chat with the neighbors, or they use the common facilities such as the mailbox and other door knocks and some other, or they even stayed outside or inside the building nearby. Of course, we have to exclude whether there are some environmental factors such as vertical, horizontal transmission that may explain. That's why we need to conduct a multi-department visit with the experts to see what may have happened. There's always a chance of animal to human transmission during the first, when we first take the swabs from the typo warehouse where the sales did not go, we looked that there's positive environmental results from the typo warehouse. So it is very difficult to explain why there's positive environmental swabs there, but that is unrelated to the sales lady. So one of the explanation is that some of the hamsters or the animals have got infected, maybe from the source. So it is possible that they are not of the identical gene sequencing. I mean, even the same batch, they may have different genetic sequencing. So if some of them infected human, they may result in different genetic sequencing in the human beings. I mean, in our human cases.
下一位嗰邊第三行中間。
Next question, the lady in beige. I'm from Bingpao Daily. About the little boss cluster. Now, hamster, you found some positive sample from a hamster. What about the gene sequencing for that hamster? Is it identical with the sales lady and the customers and the household members? And you said a customer from I Love Rabbits in Mongkok is tested preliminary positive today. So what's the gender, age, and did the customer buy a hamster? And was the L452R gene viral strain found? About Yat Kwai House, the male who was tested positive after going to Shenzhen, what's the source and what's the viral strain? The 49-year-old male, well, it seems that what about the viral strain? Is that identical to the cafe worker? And the 82-year-old male who has been to the Dragon Place restaurant, what's the address of the Dragon Place? Is that an untraceable case? Do we have 3 untraceable local infections today? Do you think the epidemic has spun out of control, and do you think the measures have to be tightened further? The Delia Memorial School cluster, a 12-year-old student is confirmed. He is in a different grade with other patients. So has he come into contact with the teachers and the students confirmed? What's the route? There are already 5 patients from the school. So is there an outbreak from Delia? The patient who went to Shenzhen is a female, 64-year-old. She went to Shenzhen on the 18th and was tested positive on the 19th. There are many cases at present, and we don't know what the source is. According to the Polytechnic University's genome sequencing result, the case 13085 carries a gene BA.2. We don't know whether it is identical with the previous case because of the insufficient load. Address of the Dragon Place restaurant, I don't have the address now. Please refer to our testing notice for the address. I don't want to give you the wrong address. Untraceable cases. I gave you some of them already. We are still receiving incoming cases as we speak, so we are not sure whether we just have those cases. There are quite a number from Yat Kwai House. They may be linked. There is indeed a risk of a major outbreak. We do have untraceable transmission chains in the community. The Delia students, no linkage has been found yet. For the previous cases, they came from 2 classrooms. They were linked, but not this case. However, we found students walking along the tunnel as the MTR station. The teacher might be infected this way. We have requested another round of tests for all the students and teachers in the school.
The gentleman in the center. I am from AM 730. Regarding Yat Kwai House, Do you have information on the remaining 3 units? You mentioned 4. Is there any need for evacuation? And can you guess the source of the infections? Another question is about Dahlia Memorial School. You mentioned a student from another form. Do you think it would be in the hotel cluster? Do you know who is the source of the infection? And then we're told that 11-year-old younger brother went to Tower 1 of Caribbean Coast. So are you going to, is it that there should be 3 who went there? And you told us that family members of people living in Caribbean Coast are becoming confirmed cases. Are you talking about Tower 1 or Tower 7? And then you told us that there were positive environmental samples at I Love Rabbit. Does that mean that all animals have to be culled? And I'd like to know whether the Yuen Long pet shop has got the same batches of hamsters. And you said that there should be mandatory testing of the buildings at Sunshine Po. I'd like to know whether the same will happen to Aberdeen. Yet Kwai House. One was identified in the restriction and testing operation yesterday, a 44-year-old woman who lives on the 5th floor. Recently, she's been to a mask factory in Kwai Hing. She has gone to work there. She was in full PPE when working. And she has also been to Yongkok Road Market. (13085), a family member of 13085 is now confirmed while in the quarantine center. We have an unconfirmed case identified at the mobile testing station at the airport. I don't have details of the case now. And then there is another case, a 48-year-old woman who is a security guard. At a Phu House or Phu Can House of Tai Wo Hao Estate is a preliminary positive case. The case Caribbean Coast, I have to check whether we talk about Tower 1 or Tower 7. I have to, it's 13079 and 13091's family members. The 2 are a couple. Oh, they went there together. All 3 went there together. The sewage samples of Sunshine Po, I have to double check. We have got cases there. Perhaps that can explain the situation about the sewage. And we're doing a lot of testing there. We urge the public from Kowloon West to be tested as far as possible. Speakers off mic. We have to investigate further as regards the pet shop. In Mongkok and Yuen Long, there are 2 I Love Rabbit shops, and they both have cases and positive environmental samples. So the staff have to undergo quarantine. For animals, we have to discuss with AFCD. The speakers off mic. I don't have details. Next, please. The lady in black on the third row, in the third row. Good afternoon, I'm from HKT. The 30-year-old lady who is preliminary positive, who has bought a hamster. I'd like to know whether genome sequencing is the same as the 23-year-old sales lady. Now, you told us that if it is animal to human transmission, the genome sequencing will be different. Does that mean that you can't really confirm whether it is animal to human transmission? The social work assistant has been to staycation. Do you know friends who were with the case, and also whether they had used hotel facilities and the number of persons under quarantine as a result? A confirmed case, Miss Ho Sia, Cecilia Wong, she concealed the fact that she went to Nabi and also to a private gathering. Would you prosecute him for that? And I would like to know the animals at pet shop at I Love Rabbit are of the same badges as the previous animals. Well, for full genome sequencing, it takes some time, and that case is still a preliminary positive case and not confirmed. Batches of animals or consignments we have to ascertain, because I don't have such information with me. That lady in black. Good afternoon. I'm from cable TV. 13095 and also family members. Their genome sequencing is different from that of the sales lady. How likely were these cases infected directly by hamsters? Now, in the past couple of days, people have responded to the appeal by FCD and surrendered their hamsters. But it's said that somebody were snatching the hamsters at AFCD entrance. Are you worried that this would enhance the risk of infection? These people who snatched hamsters bought after 22nd of December, should they be subject to quarantine? And before AFCD culled these hamsters, would they be tested for the COVID-19 virus first? Now, for genome sequencing, if it is a direct transmission from the sales lady to the customer, generally speaking, the genome sequencing will be very identical. There may be a difference of 1 or 2, but here we'll talk about 4 different SMPs, so it's more likely that the source was from another source. It might be directly from the hamster. For the remaining questions, perhaps you can put them to AFCD. This lady in white in the front. Please identify your organization. I'm from TVB. Now, for the preliminary positive cases of Yak Kwai House, are they related with previous cases? Could it be that they met when they were at a sitting out area downstairs or at the lobby? Did they ever meet? And is it possible that some other residents are still in the incubation period and have yet to be found out? If you remove the declared testing order now, will there be a high risk of community outbreak? For the 3 students who went to eat at a friend's place, one is a preliminary positive case. What about the remaining 2?
The 3 brothers, the Yak Kwai House whole genome sequencing results, they are still pending. For the earlier case, the result has come back. That's a BA.2. However, no comparison can be drawn with a case 13045 because of technical issue. The other cases are just preliminary positive, and we don't have the analysis yet. Once that's available, we will be able to see if that is from the same transmission chain and the same source. At this moment, no conclusion can be drawn yet. It is possible that there are silent transmission among the residents. The neighborhood has been subject to restriction and testing, and there will be further compulsory testing because of the incubation period. The three students, the three brothers, are 1309, 98, and 99. That's the three brothers who went to have a meal at another flag in Caribbean coast. The last question, the gentleman in a black jacket. Doctors, the 44-year-old female who works at a mask factory, when did she last work and how long did she work? Is there a chance that the viral residual would be transferred onto the mask produced? Will some batches of masks be destroyed because of this? The last day she worked was on the 19th. She presented no symptoms. She had full PPE on, gloves and protective gown when she worked, so the possibility is low. This is the end of the media briefing. Thank you.